There's a timeless truth that echoes across every generation. A person's greatness begins in their thoughts. Everything that exists in this world, every invention, discovery, or success, first began as a simple idea in someone's mind. People like Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, and Jeff Bezos didn't start out with limitless resources. What set them apart was how they thought. They believed in possibilities others couldn't see. Napoleon Hill once said in his classic book, Think and Grow Rich, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." Yet, if this is true, why do so many people still struggle to find success? Why do countless dreamers never reach the life they imagine? Is it because they lack intelligence, luck, or opportunity? Or is there something deeper, something about the way we think about ourselves and the world around us? Let's explore a story that answers these questions and reveals a powerful truth about the link between thoughts, giving, and success. In a bustling railway station filled with the noise of arriving and departing trains, there lived a beggar. Every morning, he would sit quietly near one of the busy platforms, holding a tin cup and asking passing travelers for spare coins. Some ignored him, some threw him a small coin without even looking, and some smiled politely before walking away. This had been his life for years, surviving one day at a time on whatever he received. But one particular morning, something different happened. As the crowd moved about, the beggar noticed a well-dressed man stepping onto the platform. The man wore an elegant suit, walked with confidence, and carried himself with the poise of success. He must be a wealthy businessman, the beggar thought. If I ask him for help, surely he will give me something generous. Encouraged by this thought, the beggar approached him with his hand outstretched. "Sir, could you please spare some change?" he asked politely. The businessman paused and looked directly into his eyes. Instead of reaching into his wallet, he asked, "Do you always spend your days taking from others? Have you ever given anything to anyone?" The question hit the beggar like a sudden gust of wind. For a moment, he couldn't even respond. Finally, he stammered, "Sir, I'm just a beggar. I have nothing to give. My life depends on what others give me." The businessman smiled gently. "If you truly believe you have nothing to give," he said, "then you also have no right to ask for anything. Life operates on exchange. I'm a businessman. I believe in giving and receiving. If you can offer me something of value, I'll gladly give you something in return. But if you think you have nothing to offer, then you'll continue to receive nothing." Before the beggar could reply, the train's whistle blew. The businessman stepped aboard and disappeared down the track, leaving the beggar standing in silence, his mind swirling with confusion. That night, as he lay on his mat in the corner of the station, the beggar couldn't stop thinking about what he had heard. "No one has ever said something like that to me before," he thought. He wasn't unkind. He was right. If I have nothing to give, why should others give to me? The question kept repeating in his head. He tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Finally, he whispered to himself, "But what could I possibly give? I'm poor. I own nothing." The days passed, and the beggar was quieter than usual. He didn't even bother to ask for coins. Instead, he sat thinking. Then, on the third morning, while gazing at the railway tracks, he noticed a patch of wildflowers growing near the edge of the platform. They were small, colorful, and beautiful. For some reason, the sight brought a smile to his face. Then an idea flickered in his mind, simple yet powerful. "What if I offer something back to the people who give me money? What if I give them one of these flowers in return?" With that thought, something awakened inside him. He gently plucked a few of the wildflowers, arranged them neatly, and returned to his usual spot. That day, when a passenger dropped a coin into his cup, the beggar smiled warmly and said, "Thank you, sir," handing the man a bright flower. The man was surprised, then smiled back, taking the flower happily. One after another, people began reacting the same way. Some smiled, some thanked him, and some even stopped for a quick chat. For the first time, he felt a spark of joy and dignity in what he was doing. And then he noticed something unexpected. As long as he had flowers to give, people seemed more generous. They didn't just give him coins out of pity, they gave with genuine appreciation. But when he ran out of flowers, the flow of generosity slowed down again. It became clear, people value giving when it comes with meaning. Weeks passed, and his little act of exchange became known among the regular travelers. Some even began to look for him, hoping to receive a cheerful flower before their journey. Then one day, while the beggar was offering his flowers as usual, he spotted a familiar face stepping off a train. It was the same businessman who had spoken to him months earlier. The beggar's heart leapt. He quickly approached and said, "Sir, do you remember me? The man you met who had nothing to give?" The businessman smiled. "Yes, I remember." "Well, today I have something to offer," said the beggar proudly. "If you give me something, I will give you these flowers in return." The businessman nodded with approval. He handed the beggar a note, accepted a few flowers, and said, "You've understood the most important lesson of all. Life is about exchange. Today, you are no longer a beggar. You are a businessman." With that, he boarded his train again, leaving the former beggar deep in thought. The words echoed in his heart. You are no longer a beggar, you are a businessman. That evening, he sat quietly replaying those words over and over. If I am a businessman, he thought, then I must think like one. He realized that he wasn't merely asking for money anymore. People weren't giving him charity. They were buying his flowers. He was no longer living off pity. He was trading value. That night, he made a bold decision. He would leave behind the life of begging forever. The next morning, he walked into a nearby market, used the little money he had saved, and bought a small basket and some flower seeds. Over time, he began growing his own flowers, selling them not just at the station, but at local shops and events. His reputation grew, and within months he had his own stall. 6 months later, at the very same railway station, a man in a fine suit was waiting for his train. Another gentleman walked up beside him and smiled. "Do I know you?" the businessman asked curiously. "Yes," replied the other man with a laugh. "We've met twice before right here at this station. Once when I asked you for money, and once when I gave you flowers." The businessman's eyes widened. "Wait, you were that beggar?" "Yes," he said proudly. "But I'm not a beggar anymore. I now run a flower business. I came today to deliver a large order to a client in another city." The businessman smiled in amazement. "That's incredible. What changed?" The flower seller replied. "You did. You taught me something that day I'll never forget. That we only receive when we are willing to give. The moment I began to believe I had something to offer, everything in my life changed." The two men shook hands, this time as equals, and then boarded their trains, heading toward their separate futures. The lesson from this story is simple but powerful. Your thoughts create your reality. The beggar remained poor not because he lacked money, but because he lacked the belief that he had anything to give. Once he changed that single thought, his entire world transformed. The same truth applies to all of us. If you believe you are powerless, life will keep showing you proof of your weakness. But the moment you believe you are capable, creative, and worthy, opportunities begin to appear. The world reflects what you think about yourself. We often wait for others to change, for circumstances to improve, or for luck to finally favor us. But real change starts in the mind. Every great success story begins with someone daring to think differently. So, the next time you doubt yourself, remember the flower seller who once believed he had nothing and ended up building a business through kindness, creativity, and belief. You have gifts, ideas, and experiences that no one else can offer. Give what you have, no matter how small, and you'll open doors you never imagined possible. Because in life you don't get what you want, you get what you believe you deserve. If this story inspired you, give it a thumbs up, share it with a friend who might need a reminder of their own potential, and don't forget to subscribe to Golden Years Wisdom for more life-changing stories and lessons that help you live wiser, happier, and stronger every day.